Okay. I'm not really happy with this sock. Like, I'm happy I figured out how to make a sock, but I'm not happy with this sock. So a lot of it is I don't like having this seam up the side. Um, Now, granted, um, my my stitching where I sewed it together could be a lot neater, and that would come with practice. But you would still have, especially in the self-striping yarn, you would have this jog in your stripes because rather than knitting them in the round like they are on the foot and the ankle, where you just keep going around in circles, you're going back and forth. So your sides they don't match exactly, and then um, like maybe I'm just being nitpicky, but because of the striping, your yarn color it only matches when you're on the orange stripes, and it's not, I don't know. The other thing I don't like, when you put the sock on, so the first row after the ribbing, I intentionally loosen the tension because if you don't, you get like a hard line. You know how in your knitting, if your tension is suddenly tighter, or if you did too tight of a cast on, it gives that feeling of a hard line in the work. Well, that's what it does if you don't loosen the tension. Um, but now you can see where it kind of pooches out as it goes from your plain stockinette to your ribbing, and it does that when it's on your foot as well. And it's just, you know, call me picky, but I don't. It's not what I want. So what I want to try is I want to try knitting a sock toe up, because for that, what you do is you start off on waste yarn, and that way um, the beginning of your toe, you have live stitches in your in the yarn that you're going to use to make the entire sock, and you can rehang those live stitches and continue knitting, so you don't have a seam at the toe. And then I would work the foot, work the ankle, I would work, or the heel, the ankle, and then the leg, and just leave, say the last inch would be ribbing, but I could hand knit that. Now, I don't know about anyone else, but I actually kind of enjoy knitting ribbing, especially my favorite to knit is a 2x1 rib, which is also actually kind of, I guess, my favorite to wear. And so I think that's what I'm going to try. I don't know if it's going to work. I haven't done it before. Maybe I will completely screw it up. But either way, we'll see what happens together. So I'm going to use, again, even though this is waste yarn and it's not going to be a part of the garment, practice is always a good thing. So I'm going to use, if like, don't mind the fumble fingers, I'm going to use the E-wrap cast on again. Actually, to tell you the truth, when it's single bed, I have yet to bother to learn any other method of casting on. But that's okay, because this one works. Even if a lot of times when I'm doing it, I feel so clumsy and uncoordinated. When I was editing my first video for the knitting machine, I noticed something, and that is I really don't like the sound of my own voice. I honestly don't. But anyway, Once again, I am going to do a 72 stitch sock. I think I might decrease the size of my stitch, not a full number, but a click, just a little bit smaller. I want the sock to come out just a tiny bit narrower. Oh, missed one. I'm not sure if I'm going to do the ravel cord in between my waste yarn and my sock yarn, because this is I got this at a thrift store, this yarn. I don't know what it is. It feels like it could be cotton, but if it is, it's not absorbent like cotton would be. So I have no idea. Anyway, I have my regular Singer plate on. The riverbed is dropped for now. And yeah, so I'll do the first row a little slower. Make sure they all knitted. Singer machines don't come with a cast on comb, so it's harder for me to get, like I can buy one, but in the meantime, it's a little harder to get weight on that first row or two. So what I'm doing is I'm bringing my needles all the way out, and because that's what most tutorial videos I've watched recommend you do if you don't have your weight on, and so on and so forth. So let's do one more row, and it looks like everything knitted. Let's see if I can get this one on. Maybe. No, not yet. Okay. I'll bring the needles out again, go across. I might have enough to hang this now. Yeah, that should work. And I will put one of those claw weights on there. So I'm going to go back to tension 5, or actually one click past tension 5. And I'm going to knit the first row. And then from there, So right here I'm pausing a little bit just because I feel like if I go all the way, because this is 72 stitches, and I would have decreased and like put needles into hold position until I had 12 stitches remaining, and then, you know, put my needles back into work. And what I'm wondering, I'm kind of wondering if I want to leave, like, do I want a toe that pointy? And quite honestly, I don't think I do. I think I want to pretend I want to put this needle back. I want to start putting needles back in to working position earlier. I don't want to I don't want to do those 2 more rows. Okay. So that's back on the needle. Okay, I hope I'm not wrong, but I think from this point I'm just put those ones back into upper working position and knit across. And I don't know, I guess we'll see how it looks at the end. I am really, so far, very happy with how this toe has turned out. I'm so, God, I say so a lot. Anyways, I need to now switch out my sinker plate. So that I can set up for knitting in the round. Okay, Russell levers back to position 2. And I'm going to bring this up closer. Okay, so 10 to 18 are Okay, 18L to 18R. Those are the needles I want to move my stitches to. I really need to get better at putting tools where I can find them. Anyway, so don't want you. Okay. So that should be 36 needles. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 2, 4, 6, 8, 20, 2, 4, 6, 8, 30, 2, 4, 6. Okay, so I know how to math today. Okay, I'm probably going to have to figure out how to get this yarn off the gate peg, and now off the hook. Okay. So the main thing to start is going to be whether or not I can do this without my magnifying glass in the way. And kind of suspect I'm not going to be able to, but let's see. Oh. Okay, so when I turn the light on for my OT light, it makes a glare, which isn't going to work for recording. So I'm kind of trying to see if I can do a little bit without the light. Okay, I'm starting at this side instead of the beginning, the left side, just because the individual stitches are a little bit clearer at this end. Where I started, because the yarn is kind of shifted a little bit, it's not quite as clear where my first stitch is, and I'm hoping it'll become more clear as I work my way down there. Okay, so that's my first stitch. I guess the waste yarn is going to be on the other side. Okay. So all I'm doing is I'm going across, stitch by stitch, and picking up these purl bumps and putting them on the rubber needles. And I'm going to have to finish this off camera because I need the magnifier and the light to see, and the light creates a glare, so I can't really record and use the magnifier and the light at the same time. So I'm going to finish this and then come back. Okay, off camera, I ended up deciding to put all of these live stitches on a circular needle, just so I could see them more clearly. So, moment of truth, to see if I've got them all, I'm going to snip away my waste yarn, because I mean, at the end of the day, if I've done it wrong, I think I would rather find out now than after I have a nearly complete sock. So I'm just going to pull this all out, and this may be better done off camera too, because it might be a little boring to watch. It kind of reminds me of when you're trying to find the right thread on a bag of potatoes to open it, and you pull all the threads, trying to find that one magic thread that's going to unravel the whole thing. Okay, sorry for the shaking, but I am inclined to think that I do have all of my live stitches on the needle. Now that I have all of my stitches moved over, I have to set up my machine for circular knitting, or tubular knitting, it's sometimes called. I had a bit of a struggle figuring this out. Now that I know how it works, the instructions in my book seem very clear, but at the time they didn't. And I really had a hard time finding videos on YouTube that showed how to do this with a Singer knitting machine. There is loads of videos for the Brother machine, but not so much when you're using a Singer machine. So because my yarn is coming on the knitter bed, so the main bed, it came from left to right, I want to next knit the river bed from right to left. So this button here will stay on 1 because I want it to knit when it's going that way. The rustle lever on 2. This one here I'm going to flip to 0 because when I bring my carriage back across from the left to the right, I don't want it to knit. Rustle lever stays on 2. So I'm going to just pause and then position the camera so you can see the main carriage, so I can tell you the settings there. Oh, and one other thing. The river carriage for tubular knitting on a Singer machine needs to be about 2 numbers looser of a stitch or larger stitch than it is on the main carriage. So on the main bed, what we do is we put the stitch selector to your slip position, and then the patterning lever on the same side. Oh shit. One sec. Okay. On the main carriage, the patterning lever, which is this one here, will stay on the triangle for this side and come forward to the circle on this side. And if I have it wrong, I guess I will do some unknitting. And my cat is being a cat hole. Okay, so I'm going to pull up my yarn. Actually, I'm going to pause. I'm going to adjust the camera. Okay, I'm going to pull up my yarn so that I don't end up with a loop to the side of my needles. And then if everything has gone right, or if I have all of my machine settings right, I should say, nothing will happen on the main bed and the river bed will knit. So we'll see. And there we go. It did exactly what it was supposed to do. And so did that side. Okay, so I'm completely set up for circular knitting. Before I started, I had reset my counter to 0. and I need to knit, for my foot, I need 60 rows. So because the counter is counting each pass of the carriage, and it takes 2 passes of the carriage to equal a full tubular row, I need to have 120 on my row counter before I do my heel. Now at that point, before I start my heel, once I hit 120 on the counter, I will probably put all of these stitches on my circular needles, because that will allow me to take it off the machine and try it on before I start the heel, and have a good idea of if I have made the foot of the sock long enough. So that way, if I have not, I can make the foot of the sock longer before I knit my heel, and hopefully remember, if I do make it longer, to note down how many more rows I added, so that when I go to make the second sock, it is a match to the first sock. Anyway, okay, so with that, I'm done talking. I'm just going to knit my circular rows and come back again when I don't know, do I need to do another video showing me putting stitches on a circular needle? Maybe. We'll see. And if not, I'll see you when I'm ready to start my heel.